entire closed session. So if we could have the minutes reflect that, please. And then item number 7, public report of any actions taken in closed session. And so I will turn to our secretary.
This is me.
This is you.
Okay, the board authorized legal counsel to enter into a possible settlement, and the vote was unanimous. For a second motion, the board moved to authorize legal counsel to respond to a demand letter. That was also unanimous. And for a third item, the board authorized the dismissal of employee if resignation is not received by end of business day, February the 4th. And that was unanimous as well.
Thank you, Mrs. Worden. We will move on now to the consent calendar, item number 8, items A through L. Do I have a motion to act on the consent calendar? A through I, I'm sorry.
I move to approve the consent calendar.
In total?
In total.
Second.
Is there any request from a board member to remove an item to act on separately? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The consent calendar is approved. We move into the legislative session. Item number 9, consideration of approval of an amendment to section 3.6 regular meetings of the TPAA Board of Directors bylaws. Board, we have had several informal discussions about the time that we meet, and I asked that this item be put on the agenda to be responsive to you. Our bylaws actually currently don't say we're supposed to meet at 4:15. I want to say they say 3:30.
On a Wednesday.
No,
Yes, on
it
a
says
Wednesday.
4:15 on Mondays based on mine.
No, we have, well, we
This is what I was given.
I know, but we
What's
got
that
another
date?
piece also that actually says a Wednesdays, board meeting on
Where
Wednesdays.
did that come from?
I think that was the original.
That was the
And
original.
is this the amended?
This is the amended.
Okay,
amended.
well, so we don't even have the amended then where they need to be.
Can I see that real quick?
So what they say now and what we've been meeting is the third Monday of the month at 4:15. I know that some of you come from work and 4:15 is pushing it. Do we have, Michelle, you're one, and you and Ellen probably come the furthest and have to take off work. What's good for the two of you? Be honest.
So they switched us to a 4:10 schedule this year. I don't think you want to have to plan around me because I now work 10 hours plus a lunch break.
Okay.
So
So whatever I do won't help
even
you.
the 30 minutes we were previously discussing would be helpful. My
Okay.
day normally ends at 5, but I don't want to make everyone else wait that long.
Okay. Michelle, what's good for you?
5 would be amazing.
Okay, so
But again,
okay, so let's
trying to work
massage
around
this. Okay, so right now, our two folks who are working have indicated that 5 o'clock, while not perfect, does work for them. Mrs. Huerta, what are your thoughts?
I'm open.
You're okay?
I'm open with anything because my schedule is kind of flexible unless it has something to do with my kids.
Okay. Mark?
Well, it just means I have to stay up later at night. In my old age, I'm not sure I can.
Yeah.
That could be a problem, but you can have that first hour. We'll fall asleep before 6.
So hey, that's a challenge. We'll
It
make
is.
all our meetings
It
1
is.
hour.
What is it? Okay, Dr. Porter?
I've got flexibility, although, like you said, it's pushing my bedtime also. I think the extra 45 minutes, I think we could muster.
We can sleep in on
Yeah, I get to
Tuesdays.
sleep in on Tuesday, so that's good.
Patty?
I say it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Mr. Roberts?
I'd like to move.
Isn't that a naval officer?
We do, we have our start time 5 o'clock, and I think there was another part that I'd like to move that we change our meeting dates to the first Monday, because I think that was in the,
Okay, well,
something that was written down. So I'd
let's-
like to put the two together.
Well, actually, let's separate them.
Oh.
Let's do the,
Let's see.
I
why.
have a motion on the floor to amend our bylaws to start the board meeting at 5 o'clock. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Does that, I'm
Second.
sorry, second.
I need to know who moved that.
Mr. Roberts. And Mrs. Huerta seconded it.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Does that include special meetings and all that other stuff?
No.
No, those are, you come up with whatever it is. This would be effective when?
Effective our next, board.
How
meeting.
about our next
Board
board
meeting.
meeting?
Our regular board meeting, not a special. This is a regular board
Madam Chair, I'm pretty sure that the maker of that motion was actually amending section 3.6
Of our bylaws.
of our bylaws that
Right.
lists regular meetings.
So he's asking
So-
for an
Yes.
amendment.
So we're actually amending this.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what this is, section 3.6, regular meetings of the
Okay.
TPA. Okay, so we have an amendment, a first and a second to move the meeting time to 5 o'clock for regular meetings.
Yes, local time.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The item passes. Before we move on to the next meeting, in that section, you have that section before you. Is that the section where the date of the meeting is set? Then we can act on Mr. Roberts' suggestion?
It doesn't have a date, well, it says third Monday of each month.
Okay, so then we can stay following the agenda. We are all right to stay on this item. Mr. Roberts has made the suggestion that we move our board meetings to the first Monday of the month.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir?
we may want to go to the second Monday. And amend this to say that whenever Monday, when that designated Monday is a holiday, it'll fall on the next day, which is what we had to do now. But if we do it on the second, then it won't do like today and fall on a Palmdale School District board meeting day. Just saying, if it's on a Tuesday, the second one, they don't meet on the second Monday.
Oh, they meet the first and the
They
third.
make the first and third.
I see what you're saying.
Also give
That's-
staff a little more opportunity to have accurate and
Reports.
up-to-date
That's-
reporting,
Yes,
including the budgetary
exactly.
improvements.
In
It'll give
any-
them the
right.
opportunity to get it
That's why I
approved by
think,
time instead of back
Like
in.
why they did it previously. Any organization I belong to always wants to move everything into the first, and then it always comes out, well, we can't get our.
It's not, we don't
You're
have it
looking
yet.
at
If
lagging
there's nothing is
indicator.
available.
So
I think John brings up a good point. I think it looks, if they have theirs, Palmdale, who's one of our partners, and then we're having it, I think the Tuesday. the
And
second
we
Tuesday,
eliminate
I'm
that problem by putting it on the second, but I'm not sure that the bylaws even account for the fact that we moved this meeting from a Monday to a Tuesday because of the holiday. So we may want to
We
include,
addressed that when we set our calendar this
Okay.
year. So, but we could easily put that in
some
our
sort of
bylaws. We can
language
amend
that if there's
yes.
a
Falls
a
on-
holiday falls on the Monday, then it's the Tuesday directly
So
after.
stay directly
But that
after.
would be my motion for the second Monday.
Do I have a second of that motion?
So,
Okay.
So you moved it.
John?
John,
You did, I didn't move you? That hurts.
Mrs. Huerta, do you have a problem with moving the board meetings to the second Monday rather than the third Monday?
No.
It's good for you, it
Yeah.
works, okay? Mr. Weiss?
I'm good.
Dr. Porter?
I'm cool.
I'm so agreeable.
Mr. Roberts?
I have no problem since in February, I think the second Monday, I'm still here before I go to Texas.
Okay,
You're not
so,
allowed to leave anymore. We discussed
Ms.
it.
Mrs. Cookins, does that work with you and your responsibilities?
I think it will
at
help.
the
When's the high school,
It will help you?
what are the high school meetings?
Oh, she doesn't know yet. Have they?
Well, they,
Have they come
It doesn't matter, they're not just getting.
By
they're
tradition,
generally on Thursdays at this point,
Yeah,
so.
and which day do they get things done?
Well, they,
over the weekend apparently.
Okay, so,
Mondays the second Monday should be.
the
very
second
good.
Monday
I
works?
appreciate it.
Okay.
Very grateful.
Is there any further discussion?
So the next meeting will be Monday, February 10th at 5.
Correct.
Next regularly scheduled meeting.
I'm
Right.
just making sure because I'm putting
Yes.
it in there. Oh, I like that better.
As opposed to special.
Yes. So,
Melinda, just a point of, once we've posted our yearly meetings, which I'm assuming that we did, July, are we causing ourselves any grief by changing that mid-year?
no, we just have to
We just
make
have
the
Maybe just
announcement.
repost it.
Yeah.
We just
We have to post all the due dates?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, staying with the issue of moving the meeting to the second Monday, are there any further comments? This motion also included if that Monday was a holiday, the meeting would be that
Following
Tuesday, the following Tuesday. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The item carries.
We have another issue. In the middle of the paragraph, annual meeting of the board for organizational purposes is listed as the first Wednesday of July at 4 o'clock. Last year, we had discussed, I currently didn't write it down. Well, I got it written down, but I don't know if it's the right date. I believe we changed it to the third Monday to match up with our regular.
We did.
So now,
Do we need, let's do a subsequent motion to say
Um,
that.
Wait, are we still on the same 3.6 paragraph?
Yeah,
Wednesday,
it's still,
all
right.
it's still under the same
Okay,
section.
so in that same section,
It reads, annual meetings of the board shall be held without call or notice on the first Wednesday of July each year at 4 p.m. Local time, just for you. Provided, however, that the board may designate another date or time for the annual meeting in any year.
the last several years, the board has failed to make that date due to various reasons. And it would be my suggestion that we fall the annual meeting in line with our regular board meeting date, which would be the second
Second
Monday at
Monday.
5 o'clock
in July.
in July.
So
Unless that happens
hold
to
that
be
meeting
July.
before or after the regular meeting.
No, that is the regular meeting.
It
No.
is the regular, yeah, what we have done
No, we
is
did
it's the
last year.
same agenda. It's the annual meeting comes before the regular meeting.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, yes,
On the same night.
on the same night.
And that's fine. I
Yes.
just, the way you were saying it, I thought you were
No,
combining the two and they can't be combined.
They are two
Four,
separate-
The other one at 5.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
right here.
yeah.
Makes sense.
So I move that the annual meeting be amended to be the second Tuesday,
No, second Monday.
I'm sorry, second Monday at 5 p.m. in July.
No, 4 p.m.
we need to, we need.
Oh, I see,
it-
okay,
Yes,
right, got it. At 4 p.m. in July, and then the last part of that, unless designated,
It's changed, unless it's changed.
unless it gets
Well,
changed.
and unless that happens to be July 4th.
yes.
Right.
That is generally the meeting where we elect new officers, make committee assignments.
Okay.
And the last couple of years, we've done them on a regular agenda, but we do need to do the annual meeting separately.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
Thought we did do it separately last year, we just.
it was on the same agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do it on the same day.
I think so.
Okay, so I have a motion.
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion?
So you made the motion. She said.
Okay, so in July will be the one meeting, we'll start at 4 o'clock.
No, we have the annual.
Right, for the annual meeting, okay.
So,
All those in favor?
Aye.
One last question, is 1 hour enough?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? The item carries. Are there any other modifications to section 3.6 of the Board of Directors bylaws? Moving on. Item 10, consideration of approval of proposal for professional development and project development for the Human Resource Department from LLP and Associates.
So moved.
Second. Get that.
I think Michelle
She
beat
beat me.
Dr. Porter on the second.
I second mine.
You started, right?
Michelle put in the second. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut the next one.
Is there any discussion or questions regarding this item?
Thank you, Melinda, for
Yes.
setting that up.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The item carries. Item number 11, consideration of approval of memorandum of understanding with Azusa Pacific University. Mrs. Jaggy, do you want to bring the board up to date on what that item is,
We
please?
have an employee who is in his current position as learning facilitator, who is seeking to have a pupil, what's PPS stand for?
Pupil Personnel
Pupil
Services.
Personnel Services. In other words, she wants to be a counselor. And so she needs an agreement between her university and us to allow her to do that work here where one of our counselors, who's been a counselor more than 2 years, would supervise her. So that's what this is about, is giving that employee permission to do.
And she will do that outside of her regular work hours here. She works 30 hours a week, and she's required 10 hours a week to fulfill this. And the agreement is without pay. That's part of what the university requires. So are there any, do we have a motion on this?
Yeah.
yet?
She just did
Okay.
so moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second
Yep.
it.
Is there any further discussion or questions?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The item passes. Item 12, consideration of approval of memorandum of understanding with bedtime math. Mrs. Jaggy?
It's my understanding it's an elementary program that is already in use with the kids, and this is to add this parent engagement application for that.
With some grant money.
Yes, that is
And
my
it's
understanding.
money from Crayola, it's $500 that we're receiving.
Move to approve.
Second.
Are there any further questions?
I do. I'm just questioning, and I get pulling it out of another grant, but why are we paying them to do their pilot? We're piloting a program for them. In any adoption I've ever been part of, they pay us.
We are, if I understand correctly, and again, both Melinda and I had questions about this. As I understand it, their sphere of influence, this company was in New Jersey? Back east. It was back east. And we are the only entity outside of that state. And so this minimal amount of money was meant to cover any, it's a software development.
But we're doing it for them so they can work the bugs out of their program. Why are we paying them to do?
Because
their-
they're gonna sell this piece of software for a great deal of money, and we're getting it for $500. It goes along with
We're
what they're
piloting it
already
for a
using,
year regardless
the
of,
parent
or whatever.
engagement piece,
right.
okay?
I'm just challenging, why are we paying to be their debugger?
That wasn't my understanding.
That's the way it's presented in writing, that's why I
I'd
question.
be happy to research that and get back to you. I don't have an answer for that
Oh,
right now, and
okay.
I
I
can
just-
find out.
The only
If I'm
proviso,
I'm not even saying I'm gonna say no to it, I'm just
Sure.
asking
You have
the
the-
question.
well,
They're an answer, not a how.
No, I know what's
So I'll
that.
find one.
the only,
Honestly,
the only,
for 3 sessions of PD for $500, I mean, as long as the content is valid and appropriate for our staff, that sounds like a
Staff,
steep
staff,
pilot.
parents.
for parents. It's a
It's a-
three fee sessions.
I know,
for
so we can
teachers.
show parents how to do it. It's a send-home program for parents to use with their kids.
Parent engagement.
I understand with all that, I just, you know.
If we don't approve this fairly quickly, we lose the opportunity because we didn't put it on the last agenda because we didn't have an explanation. I am reluctant if we have questions.
I'm the only one questioning. Put the doggone thing to a vote.
And I will get an answer. That's a deal, okay?
Are you sure you don't want to
I'm
table
positive,
it?
I'm good.
He'll just,
Okay.
Watch me.
any discussion? Discussion only.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The item carries quickly.
Go, go,
It's
go.
carried out of here.
Item 13, direct reports. Mrs. Huerta, do you have anything to report?
I surely don't.
Mrs. McIsaac?
Not right now.
Mr. Weiss?
It is Weiss, by the way, and we're good.
He's a Weiss apple.
One
Remember that.
times
He's a
it's a
Weiss
Weiss
apple.
apple.
He's
Thank
a
you.
Weiss apple.
Dr. Porter.
He's busy.
Mrs. Reardon?
Yes.
Comment.
When is I've got to write it down. I didn't write it down. When is the lottery? Debbie, it's coming up, right? Couple weeks.
We've started accepting applications. The actual date of the lottery, I don't know.
Oh, we haven't set it yet.
Mr. Dilger?
We can get you that answer. I believe the date is still in flux there. We are accepting out applications. I'll check with Stephanie McMurray in the morning, and we'll send it out to the board exactly when the lottery date is.
Yeah, I'd like to know that.
It is a Saturday, I
and-
do know that.
It is, yeah, and if you haven't been, it's a really neat experience.
I was, the first one, does that count?
No, it doesn't count,
I
because
would
it's
love to
really,
have my son
the momentum is built. But, yeah, it's a kind of a neat thing if you get a chance to come.
I'm
Mr.
the
Roberts?
first one.
That's what he said.
Two things. One is, I would like to see on number 10, we have Linda Peralta. I'd like to maybe have just maybe in 2 months, her give us a little presentation of what she's kind of found out or what's going, because it's kind of like,
I think that's fair.
in some of
It's
our
absolutely
departments,
fair.
it's kind of like with speech. I mean, with this special ed, I'd like to maybe see something in a later, just a little presentation of what we've accomplished or what we're doing now, because I feel in a way part of our duty as board members is to kind of have a handle on the different
Absolutely.
areas, how they're going. And the only way we can have that handle is having presentations from directors or people. So that would be one of
Would
my.
you like one as well from our current program specialist with our special ed?
Yes, I would. Yeah, that's what I meant. I would
Next month.
really-
We could do that.
Some-
For
And then
special ed.
Linda Peralta later on.
Right, yeah. I'm saying for 2 months, 3, whatever. But I think I'd like to see almost, some director reports from other directors or stuff, how things are going,
If we could do special ed in February, I think that's really appropriate.
Do we have enough time, because we're gonna go to, it's only gonna be 2 weeks from now?
Yes, because
That would
we
be-
do. She can, yes.
And then,
From our HR consultant in March. And then at some point, the board chair would like a presentation from our robotics team, because we haven't heard from them lately. Okay?
Why do you need to hear from them? You just heard from the
Well,
parents.
then-
and then that
Oh,
was
lottery, yeah.
kind of segue into my other part, and maybe it's gonna, we were kind of blindsided as a board last time by the robotics team, and I don't know if you were gonna talk a little bit to us about it, but I kind of wanted to get some clarity of what we've kind of found out.
As soon as we get to the CEO report.
That's
Okay?
what I meant.
Patty, I know I've passed, but that actually gave me something I wanted to say. So on the subject of robotics, I know we have a lot of interest in the robotics program here, and our first tech challenge teams, the middle school, high school level, are hosting 2 local robotics competitions here at the school this weekend. They're free and open to the public. So if anyone wants to get a taste of what the middle level of first robotics looks like, I encourage everyone to swing by the school this weekend and see some of the matches. Saturday and Sunday all day.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm done.
You're done? Mrs. Gookins?
It seems we are all of a mind because I had the FTC and the robotics presentation.
So
That was
we're all-
perfect. I would also like if we can bring to March or to get a report to the board on our status of executive director search process and where we are on that. And I also would like us to revisit the student board member piece.
Yes.
It's been,
We've been
you know, it's been a
Yes,
minute,
we have
um,
been distracted.
to kind of circle back around to that and see what that's gonna look like. And not immediate, but I don't want that to fall by the wayside.
No, that was very
If
important
that's
to
a
all of us.
process we might,
Yes.
maybe can target to begin, you know, next year. There's a lot of stuff we'll have to get in place to make that happen, so.
And if I can go back, maybe a little presentation from the elementary principal. I mean, this has been a growing, you know, we forget about it. This is our first year at elementary, and how are things going, you know, just kind of a taste of what's going on. I kind of miss
But not all
some
of
of
these
that.
the same night.
I miss it.
I can't hear that. And I am done now. That was it.
Anything else?
Oh, that's it.
Okay. Mrs. Jaggy?
Before you get started, I'm sorry, because Ellen and I were just talking, maybe tomorrow, I don't know if we have time, that we could send out an e-blast to the parents about the competition this weekend. I'm thinking we probably dropped the ball on it.
Well,
And the
actually,
students, yeah.
that class, I've requested several times that the board members get, and
We still aren't getting anything.
we're still not getting it. If you could,
What's it called? An
it's called.
Just refer, is that?
That is, I think that's what it,
E-blast.
that's what,
Yeah.
yes.
It's just like an all, we used to do the all calls.
Yeah.
Only it's an email out to all the parents. Something about the competition.
What time does it start?
Which building?
Which building?
This is the first one we're hosting this year, right?
No, this is
No, that we're hosting.
This year.
the 5th and 6th ones. So for 2020, it's the 2nd and 3rd competitions that we posted. We had a local meet that was just Antelope Valley earlier in January. And then there's 2 independent competitions, one this Saturday, one this Sunday, that are our local teams competing against other leagues from around Greater Los Angeles.
Is
So-
this the last one we host then?
It's the last one we're hosting for this season. The teams that are successful here will move on to the Greater Los Angeles Championship, which is
Okay.
in Monrovia in March.
And I also would like a email blast about, the March. Because I'm not opposed to driving now.
Well, I think what we ought to do is
They're
we should
looking
wait
for judges,
until,
too.
Ellen, would it be better to do an email blast of the March if our 2 teams or
Yeah.
anybody,
Yeah, I think
is
we should
eligible,
follow
then we
up
wanna
with
do-
how our teams.
Okay.
see how we do and then boom.
Well, and if we get a robotics presentation, maybe.
You know, I think any acknowledgement of any of our teams, either scholastically, you know, or athletically, would be a really nice thing to know.
We have in recent months lost touch with, or
You know,
it
just-
feels like
Right,
we've, you know, the effect is we've lost touch,
Why would
so.
that be?
Just,
Um,
I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Jaggy for her report.
A couple of things. Number one, it sounds like we're missing what you just said, and it sounds like if we had a regular monthly report and we just kind of rotated who was doing it. This director, this student council, this whatever, but some sort of, we've got special ed for February, we've got HR for March. Just have a calendar so that you see these people when you have a middle school principal, then they come, and just always there will be someone here presenting about the thing. Is that, am I hearing that right? That would be a good thing. second thing, let's go to robotics. I met with the parents who, the day after our last board meeting, I met with the parents who were here, plus about 4 others, and I thank Ellen for staying and giving me a tutorial on robotics after the board meeting. I appreciated that. The next morning at 8 o'clock, I met with the parents, and Mr. Perkins was there as well. So we would be telling each other, just heard it firsthand, rather. And so heard their concerns, and they were very, very valid concerns. And on some of the things, we just looked at each other and right. So we worked in gathering information regarding what had been done in the past as far as their money. I have a printout of their monies of the top team from 2015 until now. It says a certain balance. We tried to sort out what had been said and done prior to my coming here. It was very difficult. I'm not sure we could ever find that out. So bottom line is, after it all, I spoke with Mr. Mesa a couple of days later after that, and then he came in this morning to make an appointment, and I said, well, come out and see him. He just wanted to make an appointment, but he had time. He came back, and I said, give me half an hour. I did some last minute work, and we're able to help him in feeling confident that all their fundraising was not for naught, that they did have some money and we were moving forward from this point. So I can't think of anything, just in my whole knowledge in forever, that defines this school more than that robotics team, from the inception till now. Very, very important piece. He also recommended to me that I should go there and see those kids and what they're doing. And so I left one night, went down the street, remembered at 5:30, turned around, came back in, and found my way there. And I had never been there or knew very little about it. It seemed like I met mostly mentors, even more than kids that I met. Sure, there were kids there. I didn't know, for example, that they meet every day except Tuesday and Sunday. I didn't know that they're off at school at 3, and from 3 to 4, they do their other homework and eat. And then they stay there until 9 every night. And Saturday, who knows how many. Introduced to this person, they were some kind of a mentor from a company. Introduced to this person, and they were an alumni mentor, a different kind of mentor, because he was in their shoes 3-4 years ago. So it was just very educational for me. The kids, of course, were fantastic. You already know all this, but just, here's last year's robot. You want to see it? Well, this does that, that does it. Do you want to see it work? Sure, I have it on my phone. Okay. Pulls up the phone, shows it to me. And my comment was, wow. I said, did the people, ooh and ah when they watched the pieces? Yeah, some did. It's just very proud. So I just wanted to say my humble little old opinion. Number one, it reminded me how much I loved working with high school kids. It's been a lot of years since I worked at a high school, and so that made me happy. And secondly, it helped me. Now they're on my goodie list. They haven't gotten the first set of goodies, but they will get some goodies and treats to show that he thought it would be important for kids who need to go there and see that. And so I'll do that. So long story short, we've eased their money concern. They're still going to need money. They're going to need a lot of money. They're still going to have to fundraise, but it can't be. It must be supported by us on top of all the money they work so hard to raise. I will tell you that we paid our taxes for the fireworks. That was done. I will tell you that we made some adjustments in advisors, and that was done. So we're moving forward. We may not ever get to the bottom of all those papers, but we're having a fresh start. The only way to go is up, and we will get it moving forward. So that's it on the robotics. Executive director search was mentioned. Some of the things we wanted to do, we don't have great job descriptions, some of them non-existent. So we're having to develop a job description for the person we want, the kind of person we want to hire, divide it into what we want them to do and what their required elements are, to qualify what's required, what's desired, etc. Then once we all agree on that, then we post it, and then we try to get someone to do that. So as far as executive director, we have our first draft of an executive director job search. An HR help that you approved will take a look and use her expertise to see what needs to be adjusted there. My nightmare is that it's April and we don't have anybody. And my days are about to run out. Mr. person days are about right, so we're not having that nightmare. We're gonna make sure that we search and find the very best, I want them ultimately qualified to take the leadership of this school. We have the vested interest, you're the board of directors, of course you have the vested interest. We as a community do. We as Palmdale School District do. We're all in this. This is unparalleled, and nobody has what we have, and we need to protect that with the right person in charge. So we're on it. I would expect maybe, and this is just a rough timeline, within 2 or 3 weeks, a month, most you see it would be posted, and we'd be receiving applications for that position, because it's important to all of us that we get search hard for just the right person to be. Did I forget anything that you wanted me to respond to? Yes, sir.
Did you, on the robotics, did you find where, did we, give money as a board? Did we as a school give money to them? They were mentioning that it seemed like we weren't supporting them monetarily like we had in the past.
That part I haven't investigated as to from ours. I am pretty confident that we did. Okay. But we also need to keep separate money they've earned from money that we're adding in the pot.
Right.
They're commingled when you're saying they're for the same purpose and that, but there's the money that they worked hard to raise, and then there's our commitment, including through the LCAP, to support that. Right. Including our desire to, it's a part of our identity, who we are. So we want to. And we also know that it's a great deal of money. I was told that it's, to support the quality of team that we have, it's like $60,000 a year. This is not a piddly little thing that we pay $125 and they go to science camp. This is huge and intense. So it's part of us. I know that it is, and we're going to sort out how to. And we're going to sort out what's necessary, what would be nice. But on the other hand, if they do really well, you want to say, well, we're not going to have you now that you got to the creme de la creme competition. We have to support. Don't need to pay each and every single thing. They're more than willing to add to that. That it's a combination thing, and somehow the communication wasn't all that clear that we're covering this. If it was clear, it wasn't written down, and so I'm at a loss exactly to know what happened there. I wish I had an answer, but I know that they're happy to receive the news I've given them, and we're moving forward to support them as best we can, because we're proud of what they do. We know that it takes time.
And going forward, we need to really make sure that that's documented so that we can continue and be consistent.
This is, I've got
Right.
people helping me. It's going to be written. We're putting in this. We know it'll be to the total of X amount of money provided by the school. The rest needs to be whatever. We will support this, that, and the other. Their larger competition that I'm understanding of the next official one is the 28th of February, I believe. I was told
the first of the FRC, First Robotics Competition Season, which is the high school level team.
in Newberry Park. Right, so there's that. We said, well, we'll pay your transportation. Well, understanding how they do and when they get in line, when it's dark outside, to be first in the thing, having them leave here at 3:30 is not such a good idea. We thought, well, we can reschedule it. Well, it's a 2-day thing, and so maybe we have to talk about hotel rooms and that. So we'll have those conversations and understand each other and write and document so it's clear and move forward.
And the money we did identify in the ASB accounts that the kiddos had raised, we have identified all of that, right?
Yes, and I informed
Okay.
the parent who was here.
And could they seem pleased?
I asked him if he was sitting down before I gave him, and he was pleased.
The exciting part for me was the taxes are paid, so. Okay. Does anyone else have anything before the chair entertains a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
First voting.
At 6:39.